See where they play, how they play, if they play. That's football heritage.
On March 19, 2018, on this very day, José Mourinho gave a historic interview where, once again, he literally defended himself from persistent English journalists, successfully presenting convincing arguments.
With me, win Europa League and goes back to Champions League. Win the group phase with 15 points.
At the time, many found the interview comical, not necessarily because of his arguments, but due to his frequent use of the word legacy. However, time has shown that he was right. We may have different opinions about the Portuguese manager, but we must accept the fact that after Sir Alex Ferguson's departure, José Mourinho was the most successful manager at Manchester United, and remains so to this day. He won the Europa League, the League Cup, the FA Community Shield, and finished second in the Premier League.
This is football heritage.
This interview took place after Manchester United's exit from the Champions League at the hands of Sevilla, a year after José had returned joy and European success to the club's fans. In this video, I suggest we listen to the manager's words and see where the players from this successful Manchester United squad are now. Are they truly performing at their peak? Did Mourinho get the most out of this team, which had great potential, and could they have achieved more? Let's take a look. Starting with the goalkeeper position, despite not playing in the Europa League final, David De Gea was an untouchable first-team player and continued to be until Erik ten Hag replaced him with Andre Onana. When compared to the Cameroonian goalkeeper, we realize how much De Gea's contribution to the team's success over the years had been underrated. He had been consistently solid in goal, even with defenders who were prone to attacking their own net.
David De Gea could save the fucking Titanic. For fuck's sake, man.
A turning point in De Gea's career came in the Europa League final against Villarreal, where he missed the decisive penalty. All the blame was placed on the goalkeeper, who, after failing to convert his penalty, left the club as a free agent. He remained without a club for a while before signing with Fiorentina, where he continues to show his class. But remember, it wasn't De Gea who guarded the goal in the Europa League final. That night, it was Sergio Romero. Despite being Argentina's #1 goalkeeper, Romero remained the backup at Manchester United, making only 61 appearances for the Red Devils, keeping clean sheets in 56% of those games. Quite a solid record. After leaving United, he spent a year in Italy before returning to his home country, where he notably sparked a mass brawl during a derby against River Plate, which led to 6 red cards. Next, we have Daley Blind. In my opinion, a highly underrated player who had been so throughout his career. Blind was a versatile defensive midfielder who was also comfortable as a center back, and Mourinho often used him as a left back instead of Luke Shaw. Blind started the match against his former club, and a year later returned to his hometown club Ajax. There he became an indispensable player, until health issues began to affect him. In 2019, he was diagnosed with inflammation of the heart muscle, and had to undergo surgery to install a defibrillator. By 2020, Blind had returned to the pitch, but his second stint at Ajax came to an end in January 2023, when his contract was terminated. He moved to Bayern Munich, where he failed to make an impact, and after just 6 months, he was transferred to Girona, a club that surprised everyone last season by competing for the title. Another member of that squad who made a good career after Manchester United is Matteo Darmian, a right-back who was often used on the left flank, like in the Europa League final. After falling out of favor with Mourinho, he played only 8 games before leaving the club. His next destination was Parma, followed by a loan move to Inter Milan, where he was signed permanently. His career took a positive turn, and in 2020, under Antonio Conte, he won the Italian Serie A title, repeating the achievement 3 years later, along with 2 Coppa Italia titles, 3 Supercoppa Italiana trophies, and a Champions League final appearance. Moving on to Luke Shaw, who had a strained relationship with Mourinho, which almost led to his sale to Everton. Shaw himself admitted that the relationship with Mourinho was difficult, but he later expressed gratitude to the Portuguese manager for making him feel needed again after Solskjaer took over, under whom Shaw enjoyed his best years at both club and national team levels. However, since Ten Hag's arrival, Shaw has been plagued by a series of injuries, and he has yet to regain his previous form. Chris Smalling is one of those players who was given a chance at Old Trafford, but never made the most of it. After moving to Roma, Smalling had some of his best years, showing excellent form, which earned him a permanent transfer in 2020. Reuniting with Mourinho at Roma, he helped the team win the Europa Conference League, where he was named Player of the Match. However, injury struggles meant Smalling's starting spot at Roma was soon lost, and he moved to Saudi Arabia in 2023, following the trend of high-profile transfers to the Middle East. Antonio Valencia, the captain of the team, was a legend at Manchester United. After winning the Europa League, Valencia was offered a new contract but left the club as a free agent, returning to Ecuador. In 2021, he officially announced his retirement. Like many footballers who transition to media careers or attempt to become coaches, Valencia also stayed involved in football, but now runs his own club. In the midfield, we have Paul Pogba and Ander Herrera. Pogba, immensely talented, yet often lazy, continued to play for Manchester United until 2022, occasionally showing flashes of brilliance. In the early 2021-22 season, it seemed Pogba had turned a corner and was providing plenty of assists, but as usual, this proved to be short-lived. His most infamous transfer saga saw him leave United as a free agent for Juventus, only to face a doping scandal in 2023 when he tested positive for testosterone, leading to a 4-year ban. Ander Herrera was a fan favorite at Manchester United for his tireless work ethic and his love for the club. However, in 2019, he left for PSG after United failed to meet his contract demands. At PSG, Herrera won numerous French titles, but was only a secondary player in the squad. His career didn't take off as expected, and now, at 30 years old, he's playing for Atletico Madrid, where he remains a backup option. Henrik Mkhitaryan had a brief but forgettable stint at Manchester United, despite joining as one of the top players in Europe. His time at United saw little success, and after falling out of favor, he moved to Arsenal in 2018. Eventually, he found success at Inter Milan, where he remains an undisputed first-team player. Marouane Fellaini is another name many may have forgotten. The once controversial player with his iconic hairstyle, Fellaini moved to China in 2019 after a much-anticipated departure from United. He spent several years there before retiring in 2024. Jesse Lingard, one of the most unfortunate stories, had the talent to be a regular starter for United, but saw his career stall, possibly due to his over-attachment to the club or lack of ambition. After a failed stint at Nottingham Forest, he surprisingly ended up in South Korea, where he now mostly works as a celebrity, participating in entertainment shows. His salary in Korea is a mere £900,000, a far cry from the £10.4 million he was earning in Nottingham. Juan Mata, probably my personal favorite from that era, had a stable and successful time at United. After scoring a beautiful free kick against Juventus and helping United win the Europa League, Mata became a fan favorite. After winning 4 trophies with United, Mata moved to Turkey and then Japan, but his time at United was always marked by consistency and fan affection. Finally, we look at Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who had an outstanding first season at Manchester United, scoring 28 goals before a knee injury disrupted his career. He eventually moved to the MLS, where he impressed for 2 years before returning to Milan, where he re-energized the team and helped them win the Serie A title at 41 years old. Despite age-related injuries, Zlatan continued to perform at a high level until he retired at 42. Wayne Rooney, a legend of the club, also spent his final season in the MLS before briefly moving to Derby County, where he took on player-coach responsibilities but didn't find success in that role. He later moved to DC United and Birmingham, and his aggressive approach to training became a notable aspect of his short coaching career. In conclusion, José Mourinho didn't have the most star-studded squad, but he still managed to achieve the best results Manchester United had seen since Sir Alex Ferguson's departure. Finishing second in the Premier League and winning the Europa League is arguably more than what other managers before or after him have achieved with more talented squads.